Hey, good morning, everybody. Lee Brower here, and welcome to this week's edition of Meaningful Monday. I am grateful to be here, and I am glad to be here. Several years I was sitting with a remarkable businessman and his wife. They had just sold their business, which was a chain of very successful multi-state supermarkets. I'm going to call him Larry for the sake of this this story. Okay. I asked him a question that I frequently ask successful entrepreneurs. What drove you? What was that motivating spark that drove you to build this? And he paused. He didn't have an immediate answer. It was a long pause. I could tell he was really thinking about it. And I think he was thinking more about whether he'd share it or not. But then he told me about a night, it's almost dark. He was down underneath the crawl space of his porch playing with some toys. And his parents came out and sat down on the porch. They didn't know he was there. And pretty soon his mom was crying. And she says, I don't know how we're going to have enough money to buy food for the children. That froze. He froze in the spot. And then his dad, who he's always thought as strong as it can be, he also was emotional. He didn't dare make a sound. But right there in that crawl space, in that moment, he told me that he made a decision that he would never let his family face that moment again. So he went out and started collecting bottles that he could turn into the store. He went in, he got a friend that he paid him to put rubber bands on newspapers and he'd bring the money home. As he got into high school, he got a job sweeping out a corner grocery store. He did such a good job there in saving his money that he eventually, instead of going to college, he ended up buying that store. And from that store, he built a chain of supermarkets in multiple states. So then I'm thinking about this, and as he's telling me his children felt a little disconnected from him because he said, I don't think they understand me. They think I'm a workaholic. And I said, well, do your children know this story? Long pause. He goes, no. Mm-mm. I said, it's about time you told them. So right there in the spot, Larry and his wife decided to call a family meeting. And what happened at that family meeting when they told the story? Tears. And guess what is their favorite story now to tell their children and to tell others? The story about dad or grandpa under the porch and everything that was accomplished as a result of it. Now, here's something I want you to sit with. Think about it. Young boy hiding under the porch, eventually hires thousands of people to work in the stores. His charities that he worked with fed thousands more. His children thought he was a workaholic, that he didn't have his priorities straight. In fact, I had a ghostwriter at the time that was helping me, very accomplished one, I think the world of, but his conclusion was the same thing. He didn't have his priorities straight. But his priorities were never wrong. You see, he just kept his porch moment to himself. And here's what that cost him, not in dollars, but in something far more valuable. Decades of his children not knowing who their father was or why his father was doing what he did. Imagine, an experience becomes enduring wealth, generational wealth, only when it is shared. Until then, it's an asset locked in a crawl space, generating returns only for you. And guess what? The minute you're gone, it goes with you. So what's today's ripple? One practice this week. Think of someone in your life, a family member, a team member, who may be misjudging you. Or maybe it's someone you may be misjudging. Now ask yourself, do you know their porch moment? Well, have you shared your porch moment? Maybe you have 2 or 3 porch moments that need to be shared. Because what I've learned from years of working with leaders in families and businesses is this. One of the most important things I've learned. Leadership principles should be the same at home as they are at work. And one of the most powerful things a leader can do is let the people they love and lead finally know them and their why. Now, as Zolo taught me in Mongolia 30 years ago, that's another story. But as Zolo taught me in Mongolia 30 years ago, what you carry here has no value to anyone until the day you give it away. And then it has a life of its own. And guess what? It will outlive you. It's a generational enduring wealth. And for all you ripple makers out there, you are the message. Deliver it. You are the message. Deliver it. And if this has hit a chord for you, get out of the crawl space. I look forward to reading your thoughts and experiences. And while you're out of that crawl space, forward to others if you think they'll benefit. I'm Lee Brower. Let's go big. Let's make life even more meaningful. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.